Hello again. Welcome back to the show with the brilliant Esther and Gemma. Now, we're going to start by going to the Daily Mail. There's concern over the cost of Trump's tariffs to the US. There was a stock market shocker yesterday after Trump didn't rule out a recession in an interview over the weekend. Just have a listen to him.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
I mean, the thing is, Gemma, it's one of the things about Trump. I mean, his gob works before his brain sometimes, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure his brain works very well at all. So-called art of the deal. I mean, what is he doing? He's basically put a tax on Americans and the Dow Jones is tumbling. I mean, at one point, they were talking about it on the news and you could see the stock market going like that. This is the same man who today, via the White House, has put out a statement to say that he was absolutely right about talking about transgender mice. Mm-hmm. Hello?
But this is the point that he doesn't necessarily appreciate that when he's not being a telestar, that every single word he has international implications. You cannot shoot from the hip. I think this might be a moment, I wonder, given how he cares about how he's doing on the stock market more than just about anything else, that might perhaps influence how he it might influence how he conducts his presidency in some way.
I think Trump is very aware that he doesn't have the same grace and wasn't elected with the same universal love like Obama. So that he's just going to be judged strictly by results. The American public were very practical in that regard. He must have left his crystal ball at home because this was the first time I saw him falter. But the reality is his actions are spooking the markets because it's making them uncertain. So we know what he's going to do on immigration. We know what he's going to do in terms of his foreign policy more broadly, but we don't know what he's doing with this sort of recession. It's kind of like a whack-a-mole strategy. Today it's 25% on Canada, and actually it's not because they're putting 10,000.
That's the point, right? It's all about...
and it's inconsistent, it's unclear, and that's what's shaking up the market.
Right, that's the thing. What you want to be a long-term investor is clarity, right? What you want is safety,
competence,
and where your your money is going to be okay in the long run.
Yeah.
If you look at his rather inconsistent, some might say is a posh word, but capricious way he's handled tariffs. I mean, what a nightmare. He says 25%, but I'm going to cancel it for this and that because I've just had a call from the automakers, etc. You know, that doesn't give confidence to long-term investors. And of course, it makes goods higher. And I wonder whether he thought Canada would act in the way that they did. The new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, standing up and saying, you've got a tariff, my tariff is bigger than yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually, it's even worse than that. He's humiliating himself. He looks stupid. You know, he gets a call from the Mexican, is she president or
Claudia
Prime Minister?
Sheinbaum.
Claudia Sheinbaum. And then he just about turns and then he goes, yeah, I've sorted that out. And she's like, no, this is great.
Well, let's just have a listen to Mark Carney. This is a gunfight.
We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. So the Americans, they should make no mistake, in trade as in hockey, Canada will win.
I mean, it is absolutely bonkers. You wake up in the morning and go, hang on a second, I've got a headline going, Trump is interested in Greenland. They're having a referendum this morning. And by the way, there's a trade war with Canada. Do you think, Esther, that Donald Trump thought that Canada would stand up to him?
I don't know even if he thought that far. I would say that his approach has been very shoddy. The Liberal Party is actually surging in the polls again, which is interesting because I think it might have, in the long term, the results that he's not looking for. And I'm surprised he's taken such a shoddy act because he is a businessman himself and he knows that the biggest thing for businesses is the ability to plan.
But most
no businesses can plan with this sort of behaviour. And I find it very surprising because you know what he's going to do on many other things, many aspects of public policy. But this has been extremely haphazard, very poorly done. And I think it's actually quite of I'm not. It's people are not used to this side of him.
The idea that basically a posh estate agent has got the credentials to come and like run the United States of America with all the complexities that involves.
Developer,
but
right?
okay, yes, he did make
You
a
know,
lot
I mean,
of money
some might
developing.
be watching this, to be honest with you. I mean, I have to put the case to you, as you might say.
I don't think this is.
I think, and so it's all very well to criticise Trump, but if you look at our country, people are making decisions about the long-term health and interest of our economy with no business acumen or background whatsoever. So whether he's, as you describe, a posh state agent or not, it's better than having no experience at all.
Okay,
And
I will.
thing,
But if you come in and you spook the markets, a la Liz Truss, then you are not the right person
you know
to
the
handle the
difference
job. And those
between him-
tech bros that stood behind him, having won on a promise of reducing the price of eggs, essentially, which has not happened, it's still spiralling upwards. But collectively, apparently, those
not
guys have
chicken.
lost
Many of them have
200
been
billion. So they're going to be pressuring him. Ultimately, they've all kowtowed. All those social media oligarchs. They've all had 200 billion wiped off their
But talk
wealth.
about that, Esther. I mean, you know, like you say, what investors need is safety, the long-term ability to plan, to get a general sense of how the economy's going. This is a disaster for them.
One thing that I will say is because he doesn't really, he's quite, the only principle he sticks by is his utilitarianism. He will
Greatest happiness for the greatest number.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also, he's happy to change course if it's looking, because you can trust that Trump is going to do what's best for his ego. If he sees that he's tanking in the polls, he's going to do what he thinks is best to actually boost him in the polls. If he has to change course, he will. Now, this is the difference with most politicians, because most politicians are scared to say, actually, we're going to change course, because it makes them look indecisive. Trump is not a career politician. This is his last term. So actually, and I'm not saying this as a positive or a negative, it's just the reality of who Trump is.
Meanwhile,
If he needs to do something different and it has to be radical, just like, oh, you know, I had a great sleep, I changed my mind, Melania massaged my feet, and I'm like, you know, darling.
That's a pretty good Trump.
Yeah, it's going to be great, and I'm going to get on with China.
Meanwhile,
That's what he's
we
gonna
do need to be mindful of this, not least because a recession over there means a recession globally and for us.
Absolutely.
It's all very well trying to build the economy here through growth. If America tanks, we are, as my grandma might say, frankly, in serious shtuck.